We didn't go out to eat. We didn't do a lot of things that normal families do just because we were poor. And we pretty much lived off of Social Security for a long time.
Today we have another guest to the Better Friends podcast. He's a man who has quite a story to tell, and we're really excited to dig into who this mysterious stranger is. Welcome back to the Better Friends podcast. My name is Johnny Corcoran.
I'm Eric Feist. Welcome back. Today we have a special guest. He's a pro fisherman. He's changed many lives for the better, and everyone falls in love with him, especially women. We got Trevor Loberg on today, folks. Hi, Trevor. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Eric. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Corey.
He's our best friend. We also have Corey, the stinky producer.
Yeah.
We have 4 of us on today because this is a special group of best friends. We all went to BSU together. It's been a lovely time. Let's start this shit off, Johnny. Take it away.
So, tell us a little bit about who you are, Trevor.
Well, I'm Trevor. I guess I'm a dude who's just trying to go to school, get a job, and live the dream, I guess. I don't really know what to say a whole lot about myself other than the experiences that I've had, but I'm just trying to live day by day and be happy.
He's very humble. Very humble.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's pretend this is like a family gathering, family reunion. So what are you going to school for again, Trevor?
I'm going to school. Okay, yeah. I'm going to school at BSU for wildlife biology with a minor in GIS. GIS is essentially like making maps online, doing stuff with like Garmin, GPS, stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I'm going to school for. Hopefully I can get a job.
Oh, cool.
The field's kind of crazy, so.
When are you coming to pick apples from the tree again,
what kind
Trevor?
of job are you hoping for?
I didn't catch either of that.
Don't worry about Discord.
Cool.
It's fine. How do we all know each other, Trevor? Where did we meet?
Yeah, we all went to school together. I met Eric in the summertime when I was in Upward Bound, which is a program for students to take classes over the summer with Corey. And then I met Johnny. I met Johnny at a lunch table one time. I don't think he remembers that, but that's okay. Otherwise, I met Johnny when I was on staff. So,
Can you describe the lunch table experience, please?
Yeah. So essentially, I was with one of my friends, and I think Johnny and Jake Nelson just got back from church, and so Jake Nelson pulled me over to the table, and I was sitting, I was sitting there, and that's how I met Johnny. So it was very, very brief. They left right away. It was awesome.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure if I do remember that or not, but I do remember talking about it and then being like, oh, yeah, that definitely happened.
And then I met Corey. He was my RA first year. So
God, it's so cute.
Sadly.
he was okay. Yeah, he's not the greatest, but
I think
yeah.
I think all this started pretty much us 4 being melded together through Corey and Trevor, because Corey and Trevor, well, you knew each other before I think the rest of us knew each other, because I was talking to Corey and Trevor. Corey introduced me to Trevor over that summer. What was it like being Trevor's RA, Corey?
Okay, first off, I totally remember me introducing Trevor to you. Literally one of the weirdest experiences ever, because you were just like off the rail, because that was when you were in your scooter phase, and you just had that freaking scooter everywhere you went. That blue Razor scooter. Oh my god. The ankle breaker. Yeah, no. So
I remember. I don't know if was it in the coffee shop. Was that the first time? I don't know if it was the first time, but like one of the times, I just
I think
distinctly
that
It was
remember.
outside of Tam.
Yeah, it was right outside of
Really?
Tamarack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
It was up on the
swear
hill.
I had seen. I don't know. There was one point during the school year where we were in Einstein Brothers Bagels, and like Corey was like, "Oh yeah, that's Trevor," and then he like waves to you, and like Corey did something like, and then like Trevor from a distance was just like just deadpan like you normally are, Trevor, when you're like joking around. And so I just lost it. I'm like, who is this guy? He shows no emotion. Who is he? And I think you still show no emotion. Is that right, Trevor?
Yeah.
Okay, continue, Corey.
Okay. Yeah, so being Trevor's RA was kind of crappy. Just because initially, I'm kidding. No, Trevor was probably the dream resident. Cool, it is here. Because at first he did nothing. Like he stayed in his room, didn't do a whole lot, didn't socialize with anybody, and then it's like one of those like progression photos or whatever where you just like over time you see it just like get better. And like as soon as second semester rolled around, it was like literally the greatest thing that could have happened. He started coming out of his room and he started interacting with people, and then he started dating Evie, and and it was great. Like Trevor and I would like just sit in my room for hours and hours and hours and either talk or watch anime or watch TV or like do whatever, and then we would just hang out all the time. Like literally, he wasn't even my resident second semester. It was just the start and formation of a great bond and friendship, and it turned into an even better friendship when he started sending me stupid photos of himself, and I put them on my debit card. Don't look at my
no.
numbers.
Oh no.
Seriously, one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
So I have one of Trevor's pictures on my debit card, and he forgets every single time until I use it. And it's amazing because his reaction is so raw every time. It's just like, Corey, I hate you. Like
You
when
used the worst
like,
photo.
Yeah, of course I did. What else am I gonna use?
It's me. Oh man.
I wonder if I can actually pull it up.
Oh my gosh.
But it's a picture of Trevor when he was younger, and he has a bird on his shoulder. It's just so funny, and it has a chip reader. So when you stick it in the chip reader, the only thing sticking out is his face. I actually got a comment on it the other day where we talked. It was a dude. He was like, "Dude, I love your debit card," and I was like, "Thanks. Can you take a guess at who it is?" And he was like,
Oh
"I'm
my
assuming it's a younger
gosh.
brother, right?" And he was like, "No, that's my best friend, and he hates it." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, that is 10 times better." And I'm like, "Yeah, I like to hold it over him."
It's so bad because I have the most smug grin on my face. I'm just like, I'm so proud of what I have on my shoulder. That bird died 3 days later, so. I mean, it was awesome in the time being. Yeah, that's a relic. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bird died 3 days later. Rip.
Yep. Rest in peace, bird.
Trevor has
But no,
that.
Trevor was a great resident. I'm glad that I was able to persuade him to join staff and become one with the cult. It's been a humbling experience, and he's still trapped there. But
One more semester, and I'm out.
one more semester, baby.
I'll get that contract up.
Truly got sucked in, can't get out.
Yeah, it's a trap.
Yes.
Conversely, Trevor, how do you feel about Corey?
Yeah, Trevor.
How do I feel about Corey?
No.
As an
Yeah.
RA or a person?
Since he went into all the
Both.
deets on you.
RA into person.
Why not both?
All right, Corey as an RA, he kept his door open a lot, but it was only cracked. because he'd play video games.
Shut up.
He would play video games a lot in his room, so he'd just like barely crack his door to where you could barely even tell it's open. And then you'd have to knock on his door like 7 different times because he'd have his headphones on, so you couldn't hear anything. So most times I just barged in and announced myself. But no, he definitely was a good RA. He was really good at getting everybody out and doing things. He was really good at getting us all together. I can't say the same for other people, but so yeah, no, Corey did great. He was good. Yeah, no, he was good.
For those watching the stream or watching this video later on, here's the photo, and I'm gonna change it back.
God.
All right, we're good.
Okay.
So how about the transition then, from Corey being your RA to being more friends to then Corey even becoming your boss?
Oh,
honestly, I don't even feel like there was really much of a transition. It was really smooth. So going from like being a resident to being on staff, it made me more comfortable, I guess, just because I knew we were kind of on the same level. But honestly, there's never really much of a transition. We had been friends from second semester onward, so I mean, even if he was my boss, I still gave him a lot of shit.
You gave me a lot of hard times there, Trev. So.
Yeah, well, it's fine. But yeah, no, it was good. It was easy. I'll say that. It was easy.
Speaking of hard times, you got some goals for life and moving forward? That's the segue.
Yeah, there's the segue.
Good one.
Yeah. So right now, my goal in mind right now, I guess, closest in sight, because I've got a few different goals. So I've got goals that I not necessarily am going to accomplish. Like, it's not like a dead set goal, something I can accomplish, but it's something I like to work into my life, kind of as like an overarching, kind of like a legacy almost, I guess. So I try to work that in, and then I've got my goals that I've got set, like graduating college, getting a job, stuff like that. So yeah, my short-term goals right now: graduating college, hopefully getting a job out in my field, and then some further goals, more so like the not necessarily going to accomplish it, because it's not necessarily something that you can say you've accomplished, is just being happy overall, just being happy. Something that I've always really wanted to do is be somebody who people can turn to and be somebody to look up to at the same time. Because I didn't necessarily have that in my life with my family, so being that person, someone they can turn to and someone to look up to, that's one of my biggest goals, is to have people look up to me. So
that's amazing. I can already feel myself getting emotional.
Thanks.
I think the three of us can very much agree that you are that person. You're someone who just lights up people's days. And I think this goes into something we want to talk about really well. Overcoming adversity and building resilience. And something we know about you is that you've been through some hard times in life, and yet you're still this positive person just for people to go to and help through things. Like you said, you haven't had some people in your life to kind of turn to in those darkest times. Can you talk about building adversity and getting through these tough times through childhood and like even recently?
Yeah, so I mean, I had a lot of stuff happen throughout my life. I grew up in a family that was kind of ridden with drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. My father passed away when I was 17 years old, so I was it was in the summer of my junior year of high school. So there was that. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, just recently, a few months ago, my house burned down. And like, I still got family members that are on drugs pretty heavily, and it's definitely split us up a lot, so I don't really have too many people to turn to in terms of family and stuff like that. But um, a lot of the stuff that I have realized happened early in life because, I mean, it all started with my dad. He was never really there for me as a child just because, um, I don't know, we didn't have that great of a bond, and he had a work accident where he lost half of his foot. So, I mean, it was right in the time when I was growing up, started playing sports. So I didn't have anybody to go out and throw a ball with. We didn't go fishing. We didn't do anything. We didn't go out to eat. We didn't do a lot of things that normal families do just because we were poor. Um, and we pretty much lived off of Social Security for a long time. So there's a lot of insecurities there. But um, throughout all those times, it just gets harder and harder and harder. Things just stack up, stack up, stack up. I was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 4. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis at the end of my freshman year of college. So I've got a lot going on there, a lot of medications I'm on, a lot of ordering stuff, a lot of doctor visits. Um, but something that, again, I've realized as a child and growing up is that um, it just gets harder and harder and harder. And so something that I have, found out that helps me a lot is um, realizing that life is just going to keep kicking you in the butt and it's never going to stop. It's just going to keep going. And it's whether or not you have the resiliency to take that and let it propel you forward, or if you let it break you and turn you into somebody who you don't want to be. So in my perspective, I try to let it propel me forward. Things are hard, um, and when things pop up, I just realize, there's not really anything I can do about that, and I just have to keep moving forward because if I let it sit here and tear me apart, it's going to change me, and that's not what I want. So just keeping my goals in mind, hopefully being somebody that someone can look up to, and ultimately being happy in my life, I need to not necessarily disregard those things, but be able to realize that um, they're gonna they happen, and I need to accept that and either move forward or let it destroy me. And so I just try to keep moving forward. Um, so yeah, it's easier to the sooner. I guess what I'm trying to say is the sooner you can accept things that are happening to you and learn from them and move forward instead of denying them and pushing them off, the easier it is to have that resiliency. So my resiliency is built off accepting the fact that these things are happening to me and that I can't necessarily do anything about it in the time, um, and learning from that and then pushing forward. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's some really powerful stuff that you just shared with us. Thank you first of all for being comfortable enough to tell us about all of the stuff that you've went through and all of that. Even if we didn't go super deep into details, but that's still a lot to share.
Yeah, of course. Um, Something else, just taking time to reflect is something that should be done. Um, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm talking too much, guys. I feel like I'm talking too much.
It's about you,
No, this is
baby.
good.
Okay.
Let it rip.
God, I just been
Please.
talking, talking, talking. Okay. Yeah, taking time to reflect. Um, I feel like, especially today and living in America, we live in the fast lane all the time. We're constantly looking for the most efficient way to do things, get things done. Um, and I feel like we don't take enough time to sit down and reflect on things that have happened to us and reflect on, um, things that we've learned. Um, so it brings me a lot of comfort to be able to, take a minute and sit down and reflect on things in my past, things that I've learned, and then just keeping those things in mind moving forward. Um, because I feel like if I don't think about them, every once in a while, I kind of lose the sight. So, just taking the time to reflect and, you know, keep that always in the back of your head.
So you find it very grounding then to take some time and reflect on stuff that you've gone through?
Yeah, it definitely grounds me a lot. I would say so. Especially when things start to stack up. Um, Taking the time to ground yourself, because when things happen and they keep stacking up, and it gets things get harder, things get worse. It's like you kind of start to lose it. You know what I mean? Like you start to freak out, and you start to think of things that aren't
Right.
necessarily rational. Um, so yeah, being able to ground myself and think about the things that are happening instead of the things that could happen, um, is something that definitely helps me out a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I get that a lot. Totally understand because there's so much in life that you can focus on that you can't control. There's very little going on in life actually that you can totally control
Mm,
yourself. And so being able to distance yourself and say, yeah, these things that are happening are bad, but I can't do anything about
right,
it. It's not something in my control. All I can control is how I perceive it, how I react to it,
right.
and what I can do going forward from here.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And that's
that's not an easy thing to do,
no,
though.
it's not. That's kind of the mindset that I've had growing up, is exactly what you said. I mean, I couldn't control the fact that things were happening in my life, considering like with my family and things that were happening to me. Like I can't control that I got diabetes or ulcerative colitis. Like if I could, I wouldn't do it. I mean, I've learned a lot from it. It's definitely made me responsible. Well, yeah, okay, haha, yeah, very funny. Um, it's definitely made me really responsible. I've definitely learned things from it, but my God, it sucks. But yeah, like you said, there's just so much stuff that I couldn't control, and there's so much stuff that a lot of us can't control. It's ultimately how you react to it. That's something that you can control, is how you react to it, how you let it affect you, and how ultimately go moving forward.
Right. Uh, to kind of go off of this with like acceptance and letting go and whatever, I I've had a very like good conversation with one of my old academic advisors. Her name is Tracy Caravella. Uh, she now she works in La Crosse, Wisconsin now, but she was a professor at BSU and whatnot. But we had a very in-depth conversation about the difference between forgetting and letting go. And letting go, they're very similar, but letting go is the idea of accepting it. And forgetting something that happened in your life that is like traumatizing or affects you personally is like an unhealthy way of coping with it. And I think a lot of people resort to forgetting versus accepting because accepting is harder. Forgetting it is easy, but it's not as healthy, right? And Trevor was kind of thrown into that like super early on into kind of like survival mode of, okay, I kind of need to figure out a way to cope with a lot of things at once. So rather than letting it tear me down, I'm going to accept it. I'm going to let it go and I'm going to learn from it through reflection periods, through talking with people, through whatever it takes so that I don't decline as a human. And that's a huge thing that I've recently found out over the past just couple years, where there's a huge difference between forgetting and letting go. So like Trevor is like above and beyond anybody and expectations that I would have when it comes to acceptance. Like it's huge. It's a crazy skill to have to be able to do that like on the spot.
It's unbelievable.
Thanks, dog.
Anytime.
Yeah, yeah. It's really admirable for sure.
I appreciate you guys. I really do.
Love you so much.
Yeah, there's
Um,
just I don't know. I could talk all day about things that have happened. I mean, there's plenty more, but it all comes back. It comes full circle to the same thing all the time. Just learning to accept, and the sooner you accept things, the easier it is to move on.
Yeah, we're just glad that we got to meet you and get to know you, and that we were able to be in a part of your life and get to know this really funny and really wholesome and loving individual. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is our last time talking, so cool. We'll see you.
Yeah, so get off our
see you later.
podcast. See ya.
Okay, bye. No, yes. Yeah, no, I'm really glad that I met you guys too. I mean, you guys have really made an impact in my life. You know, coming to staff
and now we kiss,
not knowing
right?
anybody. Yeah, love you. I don't know. You guys have definitely been there for me, Johnny. You know what I'm going through with like the whole diseases part, and like everybody here is just there for me all the time. And I know if I ever need anything, I can reach out to you guys, and I really appreciate that. And it makes everything a lot easier. So I appreciate it.
One ending thought I want from you. Everything you said is very fitting for the circumstances of coming out of a pandemic and stuff like that. And I think everything you said is pretty much advice for people of like how to get through the tough times.
Mm-hmm.
What's the overarching thing? I know you said acceptance. Is that what you'd pick, or is there something else for advice you'd give to people to get through the really rough times?
Getting through the really rough times, and something that I still struggle with today is something. Don't let your past define who you are, and don't let your surroundings necessarily take over who you want to be, because ultimately your surroundings are what you become. There was a story I heard, it was a long time ago, about two brothers who grew up in a family of, you know, drugs and violence and gangs and stuff like that. And one brother let the surroundings take over, and he ended up becoming a part of the gang, selling drugs, and he ended up getting shot and killed. And the other brother decided to not let that get to him, and he pushed on, went through high school, got a degree, got a job, married, had kids, and ultimately lived a really happy life. So, especially in my circumstance, and I'm sure in a lot of other people's circumstances who are listening to this right now, don't let that define you. Don't let your surroundings change who you want to be. So just push forward and do everything that you can to accept the things around you, and have that goal in mind of who you want to be in the future, and push towards that. So,
great ending note. With that, that's going to be it for this one, baby. Trevor, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love you all.
Anytime. We're going to have you on again sometime.
Boy, I hope.
We're going to see you all next week, next Monday. We officially have everything up on Spotify as well. Check us out on Spotify, on YouTube, on Twitch. Thank you for watching.